You react too much. Someone says something, you're already angry. Someone disapproves of you, you're already anxious. The world provokes, and you play by its rules. You're being pulled by strings, and without even realizing it, you comply. Now imagine, you don't react. You watch. Calmly. Consciously. Coldly. This is not indifference. This is power. In today's world, emotions are ramped up to the maximum: anxiety, irritation, resentment, jealousy, everything mixes in your head and turns you into a slave of circumstances. But you have a choice. You can stop being a puppet of others' opinions, others' words, others' actions. You can stop twitching and start observing. And then, acting. Consciously, precisely, calmly. Like a chess player. Like a predator. Like someone who controls not only the situation but also himself. In this video we will explore how to reach this state, an imperturbable, calm, strategic mind. Cold not in the sense of soulless, but in the sense of deep. You will learn why imperturbability is not weakness, but the pinnacle of inner strength. Why those who know how to remain calm win in the most unstable conditions. We will break it down step by step, how to stop being reactive, how to gain control over emotions, and how, in the end, to become someone who cannot be thrown off balance. Because in a world full of noise, panic, and outbursts, the one who knows how to be the silence wins. One of the most widespread and dangerous myths is the belief that restraint and coldness make a person callous, while emotionality, on the contrary, is a sign of real life. From childhood we are taught that expressing feelings is good, and hiding them is wrong. We are told, don't keep it inside, cry if you feel like it, be sincere. And there's seemingly nothing wrong with these words. But the problem begins when a person starts to equate strength with vulnerability, and reactivity with sincerity. When any inner tension spills out immediately, without a filter, without a pause, without reflection. Strength of spirit is not about not feeling. It is about being able to recognize your feelings without dissolving in them. Emotions are an important part of our nature. They show that we are alive, that we care, that there is movement within us. But strength begins where you are able to observe that movement, rather than be completely consumed by it. When you depend on your emotional reactions, you cease to be free. You become an automatic mechanism that flares up, gets irritated, takes offense, or rejoices simply because something external has acted upon it. That is not freedom. That is being controlled. Example, you read an unpleasant comment on social media. Instantly, inside you feel irritation, a retort forms in your head, a desire to prove yourself, to strike back. But if you pause for even a second, you'll notice that you are not obliged to react. You can choose how to respond. Or not respond at all. And it is in that pause that your power lies. People who are truly strong do not live in a mode of immediate reaction. They observe. They reflect. They choose which feeling is worthy of expression and which is not. This is not suppression, not self-denial, it is maturity. A cold mind is not about emotional emptiness. It is about being master of your reactions, not their slave. It is about inner clarity, when you can experience deep feelings without losing self-control. When you can be kind without being weak. Calm without being indifferent. Silent yet fully present. A strong person is not one who expresses emotions loudly. Strong is the one who knows how to direct them. Who understands when to speak and when to remain silent. When to unleash anger, and when anger would only be a waste of energy. Emotions are not weakness. Weakness is the absence of control over them. When you begin to see emotions as a flow you can direct, you gain one of the most powerful tools in life. You no longer depend on opinions, words, or irritants. You become calm. Whole. Free. In a world full of bustle and inner noise, a person with a cold mind stands out. They are hard to read, they don't rush to voice their opinion, they don't plunge into reactions or give in to emotions. And that is exactly why they are perceived as dangerous. Not because they're aggressive, but because they govern themselves. A cold mind is not indifference. It is inner authority. One of the chief signs of a mature personality is the ability to maintain clarity of thought even in emotionally charged situations. When everyone around loses self-control, shouts, argues, runs, they stand, observe, think. And that frightens. A cold person doesn't send the signals others are used to. They don't play emotional swings, they don't spill their feelings at every opportunity. It's impossible to provoke them into an impulsive reaction. They exist in the pause, in observation, in awareness. And that gives them a tremendous advantage. Because while others expend energy on justifications, grievances, and arguments, they preserve theirs. They conserve the energy that others squander. And then they direct it where it truly matters. Such a person becomes dangerous. Dangerous, because unpredictable. Dangerous, because composed. Dangerous, because unshaken in chaos. A cold mind lets you avoid decisions made under pressure. It doesn't react to fear, manipulation, or emotional blows. Such a person sees the essence. They can stop at the moment when most people snap. And in that pause, not weakness, but control. Consider who really controls a situation, the one who instantly loses it, or the one who can hold themselves steady despite the provocation. The answer is obvious. But a cold mind is not only strength. It is also freedom. You cease to be a victim of circumstances. You no longer depend on others' opinions. You don't scan your interlocutor's reaction, don't seek approval in others' eyes. You begin to live by your own inner compass. When you are calm, you stop selling yourself for attention, praise, or recognition. You no longer need approval. You don't explain yourself, don't justify yourself, don't try to please. You simply exist, and that is enough. A cold mind frees you from drama, from disputes, from ceaseless reaction to whatever happens outside. At last you begin to hear yourself, not through fear, anxiety, or irritation, but in complete silence. And that allows you to make truly precise decisions. People often confuse strength with harshness. But real strength is calm. He who shouts is usually uncertain. He who is silent, knows. A cold mind is an instrument of mature thought. It is your personal territory, where you decide what enters and what stays out. It is a filter by which you separate the important from the trivial, the true from the noisy. You become truly free when you stop depending on the emotional background. When you stop reacting, and begin to choose. And he who chooses, is always stronger than he who obeys. Emotional control isn't something abstract. It isn't a theory you can discuss and then forget. It's a skill. A living, practical skill you can apply every day. It's the tool you take into the world, and how confidently you wield it determines how you navigate everything you encounter. We all live amid triggers, people, traffic, deadlines, notifications, news, conflicts. And most of us react instantly. On autopilot. We often don't even notice the moment, between what happened and the fact that we're already shouting, taking offense, worrying, or withdrawing into ourselves. But it's in that microsecond gap between stimulus and reaction that all the power resides. The power to stop. Breathe. Become aware. Choose. Emotional control is exactly the expansion of that pause. Not suppression, not repression, but the conscious recognition of the space within you where you can make a choice. Imagine this scenario: you're on overcrowded public transport, exhausted, at your limit. Someone bumps into you, doesn't apologize, looks at you provocatively. The usual reaction: an instant surge, aggression, irritation, a rude retort. Now picture another scene: you feel irritation, but you don't act on it immediately. You catch that feeling, name it. You notice your muscles tense, the impulse rising in your voice. But instead of reacting, you simply breathe. You inhale, exhale, observe yourself. And suddenly realize, there's no need. It's just a trigger. It doesn't deserve your energy. You've preserved yourself. This principle applies in any area, in relationships, when you feel the urge to prove you're right. At work, when a colleague messes up again. Around personal boundaries, when someone tries to make you feel guilty. You don't have to engage in every emotional battle. You don't have to react to every word. You don't have to participate in every provocation. You can observe. And choose where to be, and where to simply walk past. Here are several techniques that help keep emotions under control in practice. The most accessible tool. When you feel yourself starting to boil inside, come back to your breath. Take 3 slow, deep inhales and exhales. This not only calms you, it brings you back into your body, into the moment, into reality. When you sense anger, anxiety, or irritation, just name it aloud or to yourself, right now I feel anger. This immediately brings the emotion out of the unconscious. You're no longer inside it, you observe it from the outside. And thus, you control it. Learn to insert a pause between stimulus and reaction. Even 2 or 3 seconds of silence can save a relationship, a deal, or simply your day. In that pause you reclaim control. It isn't emotion speaking for you, you do. Each evening, make a brief entry, what triggered strong emotions, how you reacted, what you could have changed. This develops a meta skill, you begin to understand better how your emotional system works. When emotions run high, they always manifest physically. Your jaw tightens, shoulders tense, breath quickens. Notice this. Soften your body. Because when your body relaxes, your mind begins to let go. Emotional control isn't something you're born with. It's something you build within yourself, with practice, effort, and attention. And each time you choose awareness over autopilot, you grow stronger. Your goal is not to become emotionless. Your goal is to become someone who doesn't lose themselves in emotion. Someone who feels, but doesn't go with the flow. Someone who always remains at the helm. There is a special form of dependency that is rarely taken seriously. It's not alcohol, not gambling, not social media. It's the dependence on other people's opinions. On what they'll think, how they'll look at you, what they'll say. A strong person isn't someone who denies society, but someone who doesn't lose themselves in the reflection of others' gazes. As long as you live to be right in someone else's eyes, you are not free. You are still being led. From childhood we're taught to conform, to parents, to teachers, to our environment. The system works to make you obedient, understandable, acceptable. You learn to guess what's expected of you, and gradually lose your true self. We live in an era when everyone's opinion is loud. One post, and dozens of comments. One video, and hundreds of judgments. Everyone feels entitled to evaluate. And the brighter you shine, the more people will want to put you in your place. And here comes the choice, will you bend? Will you adapt? Will you stay silent just to be liked? Or will you choose to be yourself after all? It's impossible to walk your own path and at the same time constantly check others' opinions. It's impossible to be whole and at the same time depend on likes. It's impossible to be calm inside if you live for external approval. For example, you want to launch a project, start something of your own, step out of your usual role. And then someone appears, are you sure? What if it fails? That's strange. That's not you. And before you know it, you begin to doubt, not because you're unprepared, but because you let someone else's voice speak louder than your own. You stop moving. You wait for permission. You put your own power on pause. To stop being led, you need to make an inner decision: I am my own reference point. I can be misunderstood. I can be inconvenient. But I will remain myself. This isn't selfishness. It's maturity. You're not ignoring people. You're simply not letting their judgments affect your core. Here are a few practical steps. If you catch yourself thinking, "How will this look?" or "What will they think?" ask yourself, why does it matter? Whose opinion have you placed above your own? You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you chose this. Your life is your responsibility. And those who demand explanations are usually the ones who fear change. There are those who help you grow, and those who only pull you down. Learn to hear the substance, not the form. And don't take everything at face value. Spend time in silence. Disconnect from the information stream. Listen to your own thoughts. Learn to trust yourself. Because the less noise inside, the harder it is for outside voices to break through. You cannot stop the flow of opinions. But you can stop drowning in them. You can learn to move forward, even when there's no applause. To remain silent, even when you're not understood. And to be yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. And in this lies a great, liberating power. You stop being led. You become yourself. A cold mind is not a mask and not a shield. It is a form of maturity. A state in which you do not lose yourself in the chaos outside. Where you don't react, you choose. Where you don't snap, you observe. Where you don't obey, you follow your own path. In this state there is silence. But in that silence, there is a power that cannot be feigned. It is felt. It is respected. It is feared. You don't have to be loud to be strong. You can be calm. You can be composed. You can be someone who cannot be broken, because inside you there is order. And it is from here that true freedom begins. Thank you for watching this video. Share your thoughts in the comments, like the video if it was helpful, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new videos. See you in the next video.